Hello and welcome to another Fresh Off the Stalls Fresh Interview. I keep saying interval. It's Fresh Interview. I can't even get the name of my own publication right. So I'm here with Saunders Singer here at the Tristan Bates Theatre / Actor Centre, and he's here this week with his new play, The Glasshouse.
Yes.
Yes, this is your first fully written play.
This is my first full play, yeah. I've written one-act plays before, and I've written short, I guess you'd call them just short scenes, one-act plays, and even shorter, tiny plays. But this kind of caught me by surprise that I'd managed to write a full-length play, because I read a newspaper article 2 years ago about a conscientious objector during World War I, and it just really struck a chord, and the rest is history. I just kind of wrote it, and then had workshops with actors that I know and love and trust, and we developed it and redrafted it and sent it off to numerous theatres. And Tristan Bates was always in my mind as the place that I thought it would suit the best, and fortunately they came with an offer, and yeah, we went for it.
Nice.
So yeah, it was an absolute surprise that I managed to get a full play down on paper.
So there's another thing I was going to ask you, because of course this year is the centenary of World War I. So was it, because you mentioned 2 years ago was when you first had the inspiration for the piece, so was it always going to be, were you always aiming for this date, or was it just a happy coincidence?
Initially it was a happy coincidence, and then I'd written first draft, and it occurred to me that it was the centenary, and it was a happy accident in some ways that it happened and that it was ready, and it just so happened that the theatre and the slot that we got happens over sort of the remembrance period as well. So it really sort of just all suddenly slotted into place, and that's how it happened. I didn't have that sort of thought in my brain 2 years ago. I'm going to write something for the centenary. It just happened, and I'm quite lucky that it did in some ways, because I think it gives it that extra poignancy to now, makes it so much more relevant because of the centenary. Yeah. So
how was it for you? Because we know that you've written bits before, as you said, and especially for and remember the last time you worked with Sunny Beckett, who's directing this.
She's producing.
Yeah. One of it. Yeah, producing. I should know this. I should have researched it. Sorry. So she's producing it. And when you worked with her last time, you wrote part of RAP.
Yeah.
Or whatever how it's called.
She wrote it. I can't take any real credit for that.
Okay.
I just worked as a dramaturg, even though I wouldn't class myself as that, but helped with certain parts of it. But all of that's hers, and the music is hers, and Joe Morrow wrote the music together. Directing this is Sebastian Blanc, who directed Mojo, which you came to see at the White Bear. So we've got a really nice team working together. Wait, we've got
Sorry, can we have the lights back on?
Sorry?
Can we have the lights back on for a moment, please?
We need to turn off the line actually for being in shoot, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Should we?
So we've had the lights go dark on us.
We've relocated.
So we've relocated. I'm wearing my phone on my wrist. It's like the iWatch, as it was never meant to be. So where were we? So what I was going to ask you whilst you were talking about working with Sunny Beckett on RIP is that. So how easy a transition from working on smaller pieces to working on a full-length play?
It's a big difference in as much as the workload just increases 100%. We've got the material is probably the hardest thing, is really getting into the reality of war, which I've never been in, and none of the cast of soldiers, no one's been in that circumstance. So it's not like playing gangsters or 20-something-year-olds that are friends and living in London, that sort of typical sort of play that seems to happen all the time now. It's a big leap, and getting all of those things nailed down, the set, the costume, and you want to do things right, you want to do things justice, and not cop out and do things on the cheap. So that's the biggest thing, is budget-wise, getting the funds and the support to pull it off in the best way that we can.
I'm trying to make sure you're staying.
Sorry.
It's so awkward. So brilliant. So you've already done one night, or how many nights?
We've done 2 nights. We've had 2 previews.
Yeah.
Tonight's a press night, and then we've got a run to the 22nd of November.
Okay. So how have you had much response so far from press night?
we
Previews?
Previews, we've had really nice audiences. Probably last night was 30, so that was half the theatre full, which was brilliant on a preview like that. Just to get that number of people, we were blown away. And the response on Twitter and Facebook, the feedback from audiences has just been lovely. So we couldn't really have asked for anything more in our first 2 previews. And looking forward, it's always trepidatious. You're always thinking, are we going to get the people coming through? But hopefully the timing and being around Remembrance Sunday, all of that coming up, and we're doing lots and lots of things to try and get the word out there. We're doing a few members of the cast are doing the Poppy Half Marathon on the 8th, and then we're coming and doing the show after that. So that's going to be an interesting show. We're going to be exhausted.
You certainly want to need to do much warm up afterwards.
Exactly. We'll be aching and dehydrated, but then that feeds into the world that we're going into, and that'll probably be as close as we ever get to the real states that those people were in. Not that running a half marathon is anyway like being in the trenches in World War One. There's no comparison. But I think the response is going to be good, and the advanced ticket sales have far exceeded anything that I've ever done before, which is just wonderful to know that, and it kind of takes a bit of the pressure off, weight off the shoulders.
So the last thing you did was Mojo, which I thought was spectacular, and everyone seems to know that who's seen the video afterwards and read the review.
Well, that was great. I loved your video afterwards.
Thank you.
And it was a great play to do, yeah.
But do you ever think you're ever going to be one or the other? Are you going to be actor or writer, or do you think there's ever a way to sort of combine the two in a sort of happy medium?
I'm going to try and do both. I love doing both. When I'm writing, I love writing more, and when I'm acting, I love acting more. So it is hard doing both because I'm in this and I wrote it. So taking both of those things is slightly crazy, and it does push you to the edge of what you're capable of doing and doing things to the best of your ability. So I think the next time that I do this, I might, if I've written something, I'll leave the acting up to some other people. But yeah, I think they're totally both doable and manageable. You can do both as long as you put everything into both. And you've got enough energy to do that. If you're kind of putting half measures and not doing it to the best of your ability, then you've got to stop one or the other, I suppose. Yeah.
No, it's exactly. And were you ever expecting the nomination for Best Supporting Actor?
I wasn't at all, and I feel it was a shock, and it was really exciting, and it made me very happy. I also felt really awkward because it wouldn't have been possible without everybody else that was doing it, and the cast that we had, and the brilliant writing, and the brilliant directing, and the design team, and everything made that happen. But yeah, I'm over the moon, and I won't hear back from that if I get onto the shortlist until next year. But yeah, I was so happy to get that, but not expecting it at all.
Marvellous. So I'm certainly looking forward to this tonight. I've always, as you know, I support new writing as well as some of the stuff that goes on the Fringe. So congratulations to everything you've done so far. I probably could ask you a few more things, but my arm is getting very tired, and I'm sure our viewers are getting a bit worried.
Give you some support.